Okay, good afternoon, guys. Here's what you're going to be working on this afternoon while I am at the ESU grading your state writing assessment so I can come back and give you some feedback so you can do well on the actual state writing assessment in January. First thing you're going to do is take our last Glass Castle quiz that can be found on Google Classroom. Click into the form. It's around 20 questions, just like the other ones have been. I will grade those when I get back on Tuesday and get those into PowerSchool then. After you're done taking the Glass Castle quiz, you're going to be looking at the individual feedback that I gave you. Now, if you turned in an electronic copy either on Google Classroom or through sharing it with me on Google or emailing it to me, you were able to get some video feedback from me as well as some comments on a rubric. If you did not share it with me electronically, I had no way to look at your paper and give you feedback. So you're just going to have to go with what your peer editing and your own personal feedback was on your paper. So you all should have received, if you turned in an electronic copy, you all should have received an email from me. You will have a link up there, and in the message spot, it'll say, for Monday, here's your feedback from me on your This I Believe personal essay. The rubric is filled out to show where your paper stands now. So it kind of gives you, I didn't put a final score on it, but it gives you an idea of where your paper stands now and what you need to do in order to get an A paper, which I believe all of you are capable of. It should give you a clear indication of where you need to improve. Here's what I want you to notice. Please make sure to click the link and to listen and watch the video feedback that I've provided. You can find that in the blue link at the bottom of the rubric. So if you look at a rubric, it'll look something like this. Yours will be filled out. I filled out for the rough draft. If I knew that your paper was 400 words, printed for self and peer edit, if you did not turn in an electronic copy, I had no way of knowing how many words that is, and so I was not able to give you points here. And then turned in electronically for teacher feedback. You didn't get points for that if you did not turn it in electronically. If I had to search for it, find it in email, it wasn't turned on Google Classroom, you lost 1 or 2 points here. But overall, most people got the full 25 points for their rough draft. On the one that I filled out for you, you're going to see highlighted in yellow several of the different categories of this rubric. You're going to have the ideas and content, which I want you to notice is worth double. We have this is worth at max 20 points. This is where I'm really looking for, are you being clear with your experience and kind of the memory that you're talking about? And is your value and what you believe in very clear throughout your story? Organization, style, and word choice. This is where I'm looking for those sensory details. And then finally, conventions in grammar. The thing I want to focus on here is that I noticed I made a lot of comments on, is these pet peeve words down here. We talked in class about not overusing the word you. That is what I saw a lot of people using a lot. That's where it became really preachy. So a lot of you have to go back and look at that. Other pet peeve words that I noticed were words like really, very, always, never. With some of those words, make sure that you find a better word to replace that. You really and very should hardly ever be used in writing. There are always better words to put in the case of those really and very words. So that is something I want you to focus on. You'll see down here you have the 50-point score, informal feedback score. I didn't fill that out completely, but you'll be able to see your final draft score of 65 points down here. In this bottom spot right down here, that is where you're going to find a blue link that will give you the video of me talking you through your paper and giving you some verbal feedback. Go ahead, make sure your headphones are in and listen to that verbal feedback. After you have gone through this entire rubric, you've listened to the verbal feedback with your headphones in, I want you to go back to our Google Classroom page. There is going to be a couple questions that I want you to answer as you respond to the feedback that I gave you. If you got feedback from me, you have to answer this first question. What 3 things are you going to focus on changing from your rough draft? If you didn't get feedback, I want to understand, why didn't you get feedback? Why wasn't it shared with me? That kind of thing. Is it done but just not shared? Number 3, what is your next step for finishing up your paper? And finally, how are you going to make this happen? How are you going to get me a complete turned in paper by our final due date, which is Thursday? So again, if you got feedback, answer this first question. If you did not get feedback, answer questions 2 through 4. Make sure you turn that question in because I will be grading that for completion. So that's the third thing that you need to do. After you do that, you've looked at your rubric, you have answered the question. I want you to go and actually start working on your paper and translating that rough draft into the final draft. You're going to have today to work on that. You're going to have a little bit of time on Wednesday, depending on when you finish up with our Glass Castle test, and then we'll be turning this paper in on Thursday. I'll go over more details of what I want to see on that paper on Thursday, whether you need to print it off or just share it. We'll go over more of those details when I get back and have a chance to talk to you on Tuesday. Good luck working.